People who are watching, go do your research. Take a look at South Sudan or Sudan. See what's going on there. Nobody is talking about that. Take a look at the Congo. No one's talking about that. These are countries that have been in war-torn regions for like years now. No one's talking about those two countries. So why Nigeria? Why focus on Nigeria now? Why the Christians in Nigeria? Your life is worth more than alive. You're worth more alive than dead.
So are you
But
saying
and we will talk about it later. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I just wish she had some restraint. I
how?
wish.
She's knocking on the door. She wants to know what's up. Are you saying
Kevin,
that?
come on.
No, I'm dead serious. Like
Kevin,
honestly.
you and I would not go knock on that door.
So yeah, there's been some recent developments where it looks like Trump, rightly so, is calling out the Nigerian government to step in on these Christians being killed, and I think it's the right thing to do. But
You mean right thing
obviously,
to do, like calling out the government, or right thing to do about talking about invading Nigeria?
I think the right thing to do to get some action done. Because from what I understood was, and this is one of the challenges, things only happen sometimes when news coverage is covering it. And it's unfortunate. You would think the pursuit of human decency should drive people's actions, but sometimes it's just media coverage. And so I'm not opposed to Trump coming in with guns and stuff to try to promote something to happen. I don't necessarily think violence is a solution, but I think it's clear the prospect of violence or potential of violence gets people talking, gets people moving. I'm glad people are now talking about this, and I'm glad people are now thinking about this. And most importantly, these are Christian lives. These are lives in general, but as a Christian myself, I definitely connect more with these Christian lives. So, in a sense, yes, I'm happy that I don't hate anything that he said in that tweet
Mm.
or whatever it
here's
is he
here's my
said.
take on it. I think you're right, and I'm going to use your words. You're not wrong, but
It always sounds better when I say it for
I
some
know, right?
reason.
I think it's good that there's some awareness to what's going on in that region of the country because people are being killed, whether we want to deny it or not. A lot of the leaders in Nigeria were not good people. Not all of them, but there's a staggering majority of them are, I wouldn't call them incompetent. I just think they're there for their personal pockets. That's my belief. There's a lot of resources in that region that foreign powers want to get a hold of. Now, the only way you can get a hold of it is to move the people out of that region, whether they're Christians or Muslims. It so happens that a lot of them are Christians. The ones getting killed for the most part are Christians because maybe the Muslims are being informed before the killings happen. I don't know, but I know there's a genocide happening and people are being killed. Get the people out, have access to the land, and you can mine or do whatever it is that you want to do. That's essentially what's happening. Whether or not American government cares about people being killed or Christians being killed, I don't believe it for a second. I think it's just selfish interest where other foreign powers, like China as an example, cause chaos, people leave, and then they mine and take over the resources of that region. That's my belief. I could be wrong. I'm theorizing it, but at least based on what I've heard, talk to people back home, because I'm Nigerian, right? And these are a lot of people share this sentiment as well. Now, having said that, I will say this: Christians are being killed. That's no propaganda. But as Christians are being killed, as Muslims as well are being killed, and other religions, people are being killed. And regardless of whether you're Muslim or Christian, I don't think anyone should be killed or taken off their lands because you want to gain resources. I think that's fundamentally wrong. I think the onus is on the leadership to tackle that problem. But like I said, remember I started with the bad elements in the leadership, where they're in cahoots with these foreign powers because they're giving them stipends so that they can gain access to these lands. So rather than solve the problem of not killing people, you're looking out for your own selfish interests where you're getting money from foreign powers so that you can destabilize the region. These insurgents were brought in to destabilize the party that was in power back then. Like, I'm talking about like 10, 11 years ago. There's two main parties, the APC and PDP. So the PDP was in power. The APC brought in these insurgents to destabilize the region, so that when there's war and all that stuff, people are like revolting.
Gaza, Iraq, Middle East, they're all plays for economic power and minerals, even Ukraine to a certain degree. We all know that that's the reason why, Putin. There's always some kind of strategic.
There's always some, yeah, of course. Nobody goes in to lose. So
that's right. Well, no one goes in for altruism.
Yeah.
No. You know what I mean? No. Altruism stops
part.
at the billionaires, just giving away 2% of their money. You know what I mean? That's really where it stops in the realistic world, unfortunately. Yeah. So I do have concerns with that, because it's like, okay, then what's the point in donating anything? Because everything's corrupted. What I'm trying to say is everything is controlled. So if they want to, so based off of upon, all right, to make this effective, 5,000's got to go. 5,000 people got to die. I don't care how they die, but 5,000 have to die. Okay, so this type of war, the impact that we want, given the population, I would say maybe 200,000 here. If I thought like what you're saying, because if you think about it, that's how this works. Because now what happens is you can get the right advertisement, you can get the right campaign, and you can package it to a point where this is, with the right amount of people dying, with the right amount of people, the situation will meet this criteria to foster the need for U.S. intervention.
You shouldn't look at it that way. I mean, there's a saying in Nigeria that when two elephants wrestle, the ground suffers. When there's a toss-up between these foreign powers and the leadership, those at the top, the people are the ones dying. So the people are suffering regardless. People that are dying and getting killed. So you shouldn't look at that and look at the story and think, okay, because of the economic and these world powers just want to grab something from the country, so what's the point of donating? No, because people still need that help, right?
How does it get to them, though?
But that's the thing. You have to find the right resources to get to them.
It's all corrupt.
No, there's channels.
Okay.
There's still some channels and some good-hearted people who are helping people to, so don't give it to all these government organizations or all these big organizations. That's why.
But that's what I was saying.
That's why I use that phrase. When two elephants fight, the ground suffers. Don't give it to the people that are the elephants.
The Red Cross.
Yeah.
NATO.
Just give it to the ground. The ground people who are going directly to aid people, to help people, like Doctors with Borders. Like there's certain organizations that are credible, where it's like, this money is actually getting to the people who need it. By all accounts, we have a lot of natural resources. We have gold, we have diamond, we have steel, we have oil. Oil is one of the purest in OPEC countries. So we have all these things, yet about 60 to 70 or probably even more percentage of the people are living in poverty, below the poverty line. So
here's another angle that I'm just conflicted at. So the Christians are dying in Nigeria, but a couple of years ago I would hear someone saying, oh, you see, they care about Ukraine, they care about the Israelis. And it's like, now people are like, what's the intent? Like, people are now hating. And I'm like, what? I get what you're saying.
I hear what you're saying.
I've heard people
say that.
Like,
but here's my counter.
Like,
I'm
not saying if you do, you're damned if you don't, man.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a bad person. I mean, he's looking out for America, no doubt. And people voted for him, and he's there for a reason. But here's my counter to that. People who are watching, go do your research. Take a look at South Sudan or Sudan. See what's going on there. Nobody is talking about that. Take a look at the Congo. No one's talking about that. These are countries that have been in war-torn regions for like years now. No one's talking about those two countries. So why Nigeria? Why focus on Nigeria now? Why the Christians in Nigeria? I think, and like I said, this is my personal opinion, everyone's battling for the resources in that country. That's all it is.
You're saying Sudan don't have that level of resources?
They don't really have that level of resources. Congo has, I think, cobalt, which is a lot of the stuff used for batteries and for but that's more, I think that's more the Francophone, which is the French. They're taking a hold of that because they're gaining from that a lot. That's, again, all these are theories. So what about the other countries you could have done stuff for, like the Congo or the Sudan? Because those are in war for years.
I think because it's Christians and we as a Western culture society, but now we all know that Christians come in all different colors. And so I think when I read his message, he specifically said Christians and Nigerian. And I think he said that on purpose.
To rally up Christians or something?
Well, yes, because see, one of the challenges that we run into, and then I think as minorities, it's a weakness and a strength. When we identify as black, that's great. The challenge is that there's a lot of people that have black fatigue. There's a lot of people on the left, and even to a certain degree on the right, where they're not racist, but BLM really screwed up.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what does it mean to be black now? And so what is that? What is that? Black's not even a race.
We're exhausting our...
Yeah, exactly. So I think at the end of the day, there's a programming, and I think Trump is not racist. I don't think he's racist, but he's an opportunity. He's like, can I win with this? Okay, here's how you can win. Just say Christians in Nigeria. Don't mention black. I think it's just simply because we live in a cynical world. We live in a world where people like media attention. People like things that they can relate to. And unfortunately, blacks still only make up. We're not that huge. And so remove the racism away from it. Just look at it from a pure economic, statistical perspective. And so I think that's why he just said that. And that's why this is something that is on the radar.
Well, if that was the case, I mean,
just my theory.
No, I mean, we're just giving our own thoughts to this, and I respect that. But Nigeria is not, or was never colonized by the U.S. Nigeria was colonized by the British. British, by all accounts, I mean, it's a secular country, but they have Christian values. Why didn't the British say anything? Or why haven't they done anything? Why is it America? In fact, the UK is closer in proximity to Nigeria than America is. So why is this news all of a sudden with America and not the UK, or not countries in close proximity to Nigeria? Again, I'm just going off of what I understand this thing to be. I'm indifferent towards Trump, but on this one, I just I'd say it BS for the most part, because it's not about Nigeria. Mm-hmm. I don't think it ever will be. I don't think it's about Christians. I just think it's about the resource. I stand on that. It's just about the resources. I think that's all it is.
Okay, so let's say...
I could be wrong.
No, you're right. And I think some people will take that position. I totally respect what you're saying. I just look at it like, okay, every single white person that was part of the slave trade, right? Yeah. That helped with the Atlantic slave trade, mm-hmm. or help with the Underground Railroad. I wouldn't be surprised if they profited. Like, their interests, they made money off of taking money from the Underground Railroad people to make money for their own causes.
Yeah. So but they had a good cause.
But no, the cause was good, but it just happened to align
with profit.
With their profits.
But it's what we're talking about. The last podcast we were talking about it, where people find a need. You need to, as producers and consumers, to become a producer, you need to find a need. Mm-hmm. And the what's that word I'm looking for? The
opportunity.
No, when you find something that people need, and
exploit.
The byproduct of that is you make money. So find a need, people want that, and they're gonna buy it, or they're gonna come for it. The byproduct is you make money. Now, I'm not saying what they did was right or wrong, but I'm saying they found a need, supplied that need, and then the byproduct was they made money. This case is different. Maybe the need is greed and he's found the need, or corruption, or whatever the case may be. But I'm saying if what your point is true about the fact that he's trying to at least score points, could have scored points with South Sudan. It could score points with Congo.
But it wouldn't have hit as hard because they're not Christians.
Yes, they are. South Sudan, there's a lot of Christians there. In Congo, there's a lot of Christians
there
too.
Well, if I was reading it, it's a specific group, Christian group, that called this out and made a plea.
But they've been calling it out. It's not today that they started calling this out or been making videos, but this just got to light. Why is it coming to light now? So many pastors and reverends have made
because
videos.
It went viral. That's what I'm trying to say. It went viral.
But if you look at the history, it's been like they've been killing these people for years.
You're right.
Why
You're right.
now?
But again,
One life. I don't like. I mean, it's sad because I'm a Christian too, and it hurts
Yeah.
when you hear what these pastors are saying or these preachers about how they're killing the congregation. When you have to bury your church members, it hurts. So why now? Why hasn't the government done anything for these people? It's the government that's so much closer to them.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything for the most part.
And so, it went viral. I'm just being honest. It went viral with
Does it
Bill,
need to go viral before the local
you're
politicians
right, and
know that it's wrong?
You're right, and that's the problem. But what I'm just trying to say, Bill Maher, if you remember, he went viral with it. He was
Bill
saying,
Maher, yeah.
There you go. And it
Yep.
just made the rounds, and then it just got to his desk. And then he's like, I assume Trump was like, okay, well, I don't really have to do anything, but, you know, it's something, and they're Christian, right? So that's number one. And it's sad. You would think that decency, and we talked about this, decency and the moral pursuit of human decency would trump. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. So it did go viral.
Dead men don't tell tales, man. I know you're angry. I know you want to act. Sometimes your life is worth more than alive. You're worth more alive than dead.
So are you saying...
But, and we will talk about it later. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying I just wish she had some restraint.
How? She's knocking on the door. She wants to know what's up. Are you saying
Kevin,
that...
come on.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, honestly.
Kevin, you and I would not go knock on that door. Knowing that we live in a state where it's stand your ground, we would exercise some patience on that.
I don't know.
We would.
I don't know. I don't think I would.
We would. Knowing where you... If you know...
That one I might have to
Hold
say
on. You know,
no.
we can talk about it later. But anyways, let's
Because
get back to this.
It's an innocent thing. Imagine you've been doing this. They've been going back and forth for years. Back and forth. She's angry.
Is there evidence that she's gone to her house and knocked on the door before?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. If she's okay,
yes.
then everything I said, I take it back.
100%. Go watch the video.
Okay.
Netflix.
Everything I said, I take it back.
Okay.
Then definitely that's definitely.
Yes. She has knocked on the door before.
Yeah. Then there's intent.
The only thing I would say is I think this time around she was upset. She was irate.
Yeah.
And she's knocking on the door. She's like, open up the damn door. Stand your ground. That's not enough.
To kill someone.
Yeah, not enough
it's not, I mean, even
to execute.
That's your
invoke,
neighbor.
stand
How
your
much?
ground.
Call the cops.
Yeah.
Could have called the cops to you know, like, why couldn't she call the cops? Not like she could break in. Just call the cops. If she's broken in, then that's a crime.
So yeah, that's the funny thing. So in the video, she did call the cops. This is what's so aggravating.
Yeah.
She violated what the cops said. The cops said, "Do not engage. Do not open the door."
Oh, the cops even told her not to engage.
Thank you,
That's
yes.
a different. Now you tell. Okay.
And
it's
then
a different
after 5
conversation.
minutes, even on the recording, 5 minutes later, so when they took her into questioning, she was saying, "Oh, I think it was like 30 minutes later." They were like, the detective was like, "Okay, you know what? We have everything recording. We have you recorded at this time, and then 5 minutes later, you called." So it was not 30 minutes. No one was knocking on your door for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It was 5 minutes after. She's like, "Oh, well, I was so nervous. It was all such a blur." Okay, but still, the facts are the fact.
Man.
You made it sound like this person is harassing you for 30 minutes, knocking on your door, and you just got scared and scared and scared. No, you called the cops. Cops told you do not engage, and then you shot her 5 minutes later through the door.
Damn.
And what's frustrating is, once again, no one pressed charges until it went viral.
Okay, I can see why you gave that example as to the whole point is nobody brought awareness to it until it went viral, which
That's
is
right.
what
And it's
happens with
unfortunate.
this Nigerian case, right?
It's unfortunate. Yeah,
Yes, and you're right. Coincidence. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't know, and I could be wrong. I don't know that the U.S. is acting on Nigeria's interest.
Oh, well, I mean, we know U.S. always is self-interest. They're probably the most selfish.
That's my point.
That's
my point. That's all I'm saying.
So
I'm putting the onus on the leaders in Nigeria because this is a problem that has existed that they created for the most part. You have videos of a sitting senator, confessing to he wasn't confessing, but attesting to the fact that they brought in insurgents to destabilize the country. And these insurgents, obviously, they're there for hire. So you have a sitting senator saying that. It's not America's business. It's the people in the country that need to fix their problem. They know who these people are. They brought them in. They should fix the problem because people are dying for no reason. The blood is not on Donald Trump or the U.S.'s head. The blood is on their head. They're the ones killing these people, whether Christians or Muslims. People have died. A lot of Christians have died, and it's not fair. It's not right. So I'm just saying this from a perspective of, forget U.S. trying to intervene. I like the awareness it's bringing. That's good. People are talking about it. But the awareness and the focus should be on, get your act together in that country. It's the leaders.
And I'm not going to say it. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And I just think at the end of the day, the leadership has been this way for many years.
You know what? I'll agree with you with that. Yeah.
My whole thing is I can't fathom doing the same thing over. So I don't want violence either. I definitely know U.S. is always self-interested. Anything from Gaza to Israel to Ukraine, U.S. always wants a piece of something, right? But my point, what I'm trying to say is, my enemy is my friend. And so right now, corruption is a bigger enemy than U.S. And Nigeria has always been corrupted. So I want to fight that. So as much as I hate U.S. going into that country, I think corruption, especially in a root, is worse than, say, a virus on a twig, on a leaf, which is U.S. coming in.
The leadership is corrupt. There's a lot of bad eggs in the leadership. We know that. So I'm happy to bring in some awareness, and I'm hoping that with this awareness, something is done, and lives, Christian lives especially, or any life.
Do you think Nigerians can fully govern Nigerians? Is this something rooted in the culture, or is this something where, because if you notice, it always seems like foreign nation always has to come bail us out, intervene. Is it if it's China, if it's British, if it's this, and colonization, whatever, destabilization. But do you think fundamentally, since you've lived there, that as a culture, if all those nations just walked away, would they truly be able to sustain themselves, build themselves up like what India's done and things like that?
I think we
can. Or do you think it's something just rooted in the culture?
No, it's not rooted in the culture. It's rooted in.
Because why is there so much greed then? Why is it generational over generation?
You're not asking the right questions. Okay. Who stands to profit from the greed of the people, or who stands to profit from chaos in that country?
But India was third world. China has third world areas.
I know, but
they've all risen about that. Iraq before they found oil.
But here's the thing, right? There wasn't a lot of foreign influence on those countries. You have to remember, like, when you colonize a people and you force the people to adopt your culture. We have our own culture. I mean, in Africa, we've always had our culture. But you force the people to adopt your culture to the point where even the curriculum in schools that they teach is about your countries, about Europe. When I was learning in primary school in Nigeria, it was all about the slave masters, the Mungo Parks, the Vasco da Gamas. These are slave owners, and they glorify them as people who were good. But that's the curriculum we had. So when you've ingrained that in the people, you have to think about how that affects their mentality and their psyche, because now they look at their culture as foreign, as opposed to, and they look at your culture as what's accepted. So that's a starting point. We can govern ourselves, but we need to get out of that slave mentality. That's a fundamental problem with that country. Okay. To the point where we look at our own religions as evil or as foreign. I'm a Christian. I mean, I'm not, but we have our own religions. But it's so bad now where if you tell me in Nigeria, or if somebody tells you in Nigeria that they practice Ifa or they practice Shango, you're going to look at them as evil people, because we've been made to see that as evil. That's not right. Because our forefathers, that's what they believed in. And they did good. They governed themselves. So we need to go back to the fundamentals and the basics. So the long answer to your question is yes, we can govern ourselves. But the true question should be, why can't we govern ourselves? What is happening that we can't together come together as a people, self-govern and produce results? It's the influence. If we can get rid of that, I think we'll be fine.
All right, guys. Have a good one. God
The
bless.
first part you'll see, but
Like
like
and
and
subscribe.
subscribe. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. All right, guys.